everybody, this is James.
And Marco.
And Nabil.
And this is the Movie Pals Podcast, podcast number 152. Today we are continuing our Francis Ford Coppola Corner with a review of his 2007 film, Youth Without Youth, followed by a review of the new DC, DC Universe, Universe? I don't know.
Sure. DCEU film? Right now.
DC film, The Flash.
Yeah.
Without further ado, let's get into our Francis Ford Coppola Corner.
I'm of an age where I just want to learn things. I become much more of a reader than I ever was when I was younger, and I'm just dying to understand life better and what human beings are really like and what consciousness is really like and what reality is really like, because I'm sure it's not exactly the way we see it.
So, as you guys know, or if this is your first time, we're just going to go over this real quick. We have been reviewing every Francis Ford Coppola film. Started last year. We are actually nearing an end here. Actually, the finish line is in sight. So we've done every film since Dementia 13, all the way up into technically his latest film, Megalopolis, but we're going to be stopping at his 2011 film, Betwixt, before then, because that movie does not release until next year. But we were doing literally every film that he's directed up until this point. So
we are the Francis Ford Coppola Podcast. Heard it here first.
Yeah, he's on Instagram now, so one day he'll fucking take one of my questions.
He's just going to keep tagging him, get him to respond.
Oh yeah, just like him, I posted also multiple times as well, just in case he didn't see the first time. Yes. So I'm a crazy person. The last one we did was the 1997 film, The Rainmaker, starring Matt Damon. We all pretty much liked it, actually. So that was a very nice surprise here. So because there's a 10-year gap in between The Rainmaker and Youth Without Youth, there was quite a bit of things going on at this time. From my research alone, it seemed like he was in a lot of court battles like leading up to this movie.
He had a lot of money problems.
Yeah, there was either money things or people like kind of screwing him over, truth be told, from the sound of it. So we're going to give you some trivia leading up to Youth Without Youth. So in the late 1980s, Coppola started considering concepts for a motion picture based upon the 19th century Mario Collodi novel, The Adventures of Pinocchio. And in 1991, Coppola and Warner Brothers began discussing the project, as well as two others, one involving the life of J. Edgar Hoover and the other based on the children's novel, The Secret Garden. These discussions led to negotiations for Coppola to both produce and direct the Pinocchio project for Warner Brothers, as well as The Secret Garden, which was made in 1993 and produced by American Zoetrope, but directed by Agnieszka Holland. I don't know if I butchered that name. I apologize. That didn't even sound right coming off my lips.
It's fine.
And Hoover, which never came to fruition. But as you guys know, Clint Eastwood eventually made a Hoover movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. So,
yeah. However, in mid-1991, Coppola and Warner Brothers came to a disagreement over the compensation to Coppola for his directing services on Pinocchio. In 1994, Coppola later approached another studio, Columbia Pictures, to produce the film. Warner Brothers then wrote to Columbia stating it had held the rights to Coppola's project, which led to Columbia later dropping the project. Coppola filed a lawsuit against Warner Brothers, alleging they had wrongfully prevented Columbia Pictures from making the film. The parties deferred the issue, and a settlement was finally reached on July 3rd, 1998. When the jurors in the resultant court case awarded Coppola $20 million as compensation for losing the Pinocchio film project.
During the filming of Contact on December 28, 1996, Coppola filed a lawsuit against Carl Sagan and Warner Brothers. Sagan had died a week earlier, and Coppola claimed that Sagan's novel, Contact, was based on a story the pair had developed for a television special back in 1975 titled First Contact. Under their development agreement, Coppola and Sagan were to split proceeds from the project, as well as any novel Sagan would write with American Zoetrope and Children's Television Workshop Productions. The television program was never produced, but in 1985, Simon & Schuster published Sagan's Contact, and Warner Brothers moved forward with development of a film adaptation.
Coppola sought at least $250,000 in compensatory damages and an injunction against production or distribution of the film. Even though Sagan was shown to have violated some of the terms of the agreement, the case was dismissed in February 1998 because Coppola had waited too long to file the suit.
In August 1999, Coppola was brought in by MGM to supervise another re-editing of the film Supernova, costing $1 million at his American Zoetrope facility in Northern California. This work included digitally placing Angelo Bassett's and James Spader's face on the bodies of a computer-tinted Robin Tooney and Peter Fasinelli, so that their characters could have a love scene. However, Coppola's re-edited version had negative test screening and didn't get the PG-13 rating by the MPAA that the studio wanted.
Did you guys ever see that, by the way? Supernova?
No, I've heard of it, but I never actually saw it.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I almost was considering us like checking this one out because he had more of a hand in it than you think in this, like with his editing, and because of like the way that it played out, like it was released like 2 years after they filmed it, kind of stuff too. So yeah, it's like a sci-fi thing. It's weird, but anyway,
and it seems kind of up his alley, knowing his filmography now.
Yeah,
trying different things.
He's like, I was with Michael Jackson. We've got this.
Before it was bad.
Yeah. Well, after bad, actually, technically, right?
Yeah. You know what I mean. Well, you should have gone the Star Wars route.
He's like,
Money, baby.
Provided some of the aliens. Francis.
You see, in Dagobah, there's many different creatures.
It's been a while since we had George Lucas experience. So.
Right. After a 10-year hiatus, Coppola returned to directing with Youth Without Youth in 2007, based on the novella of the same name by Romanian author Mircea Eliade, and I probably butchered that name.
Actually, that sounded pretty good. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna just guesstimate this one. The film was poorly reviewed. It was made for about $19 million and had a limited release, only managing $2.6 million at the box office. As a result, Coppola announced his plans to produce his own films in order to avoid the marketing input that goes into most films, which were intended to appeal to too wide an audience.
All right. So that's some trivia beforehand. I know that was a lot, but I mean, once again, there was a 10-year gap. So without further ado, let's get into a review of Youth Without Youth.
If someone were to tell me that there exist among us authentic magicians, saints, or anyone endowed with miraculous powers, I would believe them.
The way the lightning struck you, you had to have been killed on the spot. You are lucky.
His x-rays have come in. The roots are healthy, but they are being pushed up by new ones.
He's a young man in the prime of his life.
I have to think, 10 months ago, you turned 74 years old.
Your government has instructed you to relinquish the patient to our custody.
This is no longer a case of a living dead man, but of something else.
You and I both know what is coming. I'm trying to find a meaning to this impending catastrophe.
So Youth Without Youth, sitting at a whopping 33% on Rotten Tomatoes. With the story going, a love story wrapped in a mystery. Set in World War II Europe, a professor is changed by a cataclysmic event and explores the mysteries of life. Directed again by the great Francis Ford Coppola, because we are going through his entire filmography, as you may have heard us repeatedly say already. Written by Francis Ford Coppola, and again, based on the novel by Mircea Eliade, and you can correct me on that pronunciation, because I sure as hell don't know. Released on December 14th, 2007. Again, it had a budget of $19 million and grossed only $2.6 million at the box office, making it a financial disappointment.
And also a Coppola special, from what we've been figuring out.
It's right up his alley.
Yeah,
going back to basics. Back to basics here.
Okay.
So this movie stars Tim Roth as Dominic Mattei, Alexandra Maria Lara as Laura or Veronica, Bruno Ganz as Professor Stansilescu. Sure, I could never say
people in this movie.
Yeah. So. I could never say this dude's name, and he said it like a couple of times in the movie. I'm like, sure, that's what it sounds like. Andre Heineke as Josef Rudolph, Marcel Lourez as Professor Giuseppe Tucci, Adrian Pintea as Pandit, and Matt Damon as Ted Jones. I'm sorry, Matt Damon as Ted Jones.
Please, sir, please say it correctly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry. So, like we always do with any Coppola film, we like to see what our history is with this film and if we've seen it before. And I'll start with BDJ here. James, what's your history with this movie and have you seen it before?
No, never. I've never seen this movie. I didn't even know this shit existed. Like, I know I was kind of aware he made movies like mid 2000s, late 2000s, right? Stuff like that. But no, I'd never seen this film, so this was a entirely first time seeing this. And I mean, obviously from the box office, I don't think a lot of people have seen this movie. Period. So,
right, yeah, I agree. What about you, Nabil? What's your history with this movie, and have you seen it before?
Oh, I mean, like I didn't even know this was a film. So yeah, this what did we watch? No, I've never seen it, never heard of it. I have no connection with this movie.
I 2 or 3 have never heard of this movie and have never seen it before, so this is my first time as well. Never knew it existed.
Blown my mind if you were like, actually, seen it twice.
No, actually, what did blow my mind is this. Like, so Tim Roth is in this movie. This movie came out a year before he did Incredible Hulk. That's insane. Anyway,
he's been in other movies, asshole.
I know. But
he's in Reservoir
Dogs. He's more known for like
80s.
his Tarantino movies. You fucking Marvel fiend.
What I mean by that is this movie feels a lot older than it is. It looks a lot older than it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I do have some thoughts on that.
I agree with
yeah.
that.
So with that, let's get into our thoughts of the movie. James, what did you think about Youth Without Youth?
Well, I thought it was super interesting. It had like concept that I thought somebody wrote on Letterboxd that it was kind of like a trilogy of time films by Coppola with like Peggy Sue Got Married, Jack, and then this film. But the problem is this movie's fucking terrible, so I fucking hated it. So yeah, dude, this did not work for me. I was confused a lot. This reminded me of movies that Nabil used to watch with me where I was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I'm going to have to Wikipedia the plot because I cannot follow along to save my fucking life.
As we're watching it.
Like, I get it. It's like surreal. It's a surrealistic film. It's like his first one where it's like a dream sequence. You're not supposed to differentiate. And I get that. Yeah, you're not supposed to differentiate what's real, what could be a dream. But there's a lot of shit going on here. There's a few things that I did like. We'll get to it in a little bit, but for the most part, no. This was. I think this might be the worst Coppola film I've seen. That's
wow, worse than Jack. Okay,
I
you
like
heard it
Jack
here first. You heard it here first. Nabil, what did you think of Youth Without Youth?
You know, I had the opposite reaction to it. I actually
saw your
enjoyed the
Letterboxd
film.
review, Nabil.
Yeah.
I was waiting fucking days to talk to you.
Was it the Romanian part?
No, you know, so to your
Nabil
point,
was like, that's where Dracula's from. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Nabil, just to let you know, like, this was Youth Without Youth, right? You didn't accidentally watch a manual, right?
No, sorry.
Okay.
No, the film. So if you had told me this was a film that was made in the 60s or early 70s, I would have believed you because the way it's shot, even like the visualization of it, it feels like a remastered older film. It doesn't feel like a modern day film.
Mm-hmm.
I did too much research. The way he filmed it, Nabil, is according to his next two as well. He shot it and then like transferred it through a different way to make it look like that. By the way,
because that's
why.
Right.
Yeah,
it visually looks like that, and I thought that was a very interesting choice. I didn't hate that, but it seemed weird
like
for it to be
digital.
2007.
It's not like super digital and clean, which is like what a lot of people were doing at this time too.
Early 2000s, yeah. Well, I mean, at this point now,
right after the prequel movies for Star Wars and all this stuff.
They put that sheen on it. Yeah. The film, yeah. I mean, gosh, there's a lot of plots that have a lot of promise, but they all kind of fizzle out and move on to something new. I agree with that kind of idea with the 3 acts that he was trying to do, this like sci-fi or time travel thing. I'd even say this film is like 3 different movies that he kind of presses in because you have an A story with Tim Roth. I mean, he has magic powers for some reason, never explained. He can like mind control and then he doesn't do it anymore. He's, you've got the
original cut of this movie was apparently like 160 minutes or some shit too.
I feel like there's more to sit with this because you even have Veronica coming in here, which we don't understand like why she's being, possessed or whatever incarnation she has.
Lightning and explosions give you weird powers, Nabil.
there's just like a lot of things that he has which all seem like okay, I want to see where this goes, and then it just kind of gets pushed to the side for this next thing that he wants to bring into it. So that is a bit weird, but I enjoyed the surrealism of it. It wasn't like a Terry Gilliam film, which is a lot all at once, and it's like you either are all in this or you're not. This is a much more tamer version of it, but he just never finishes the thoughts. It just starts with it and never goes anywhere with it at the end.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like plot-wise, I think
speaks.
it's kind of a mess.
Yeah, the plot, I would say, like, there's a lot of promise in all of them. I mean, like, we get to like the second act of each plot in 3 parts of this movie, but we never see the end of it.
Yeah.
What about you, Marco? What were your feelings on this movie?
Well, Bill, I fell asleep 3 times watching this movie.
Did you?
Yeah. I'm like, fuck, here we go. It was okay. I like the cinematography. I like that.
Yeah.
So some of the shots were done really well, but yeah, I'm kind of more with James on this one. It didn't really work for me, man. I was lost too. I actually did pull up Wikipedia in the middle of the fucking movie because
me too, man.
I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, is that what's going on? Because
especially by the end, man, with the, I mean, it's kind of like hinting at like love through time and shit, and
right. But it just, the randomness that happens is never clearly explained or defined, which is okay if there was a way to follow the pattern. But just the fact, that he got struck by lightning, he's getting lighter, younger,
yeah,
he's getting these weird telekinetic powers, and it's like, oh, okay.
Is that because he's like unlocking like the secrets of life or something through the?
That's what I'm thinking. Through the language.
I mean,
yeah.
There's one thing. There's one movie that kind of came to mind with this strangely, and that's Arrival, because it has to do a lot with linguistics and learning languages and how that unlocks different viewpoints of the world and how you perceive time in your mind. And I'm like, is that what he's going for? Because you didn't really explain that in the movie, and you're just fucking lost, just going along with it. You're like, okay, cool. All right, now he's getting older again. All right, awesome, sure.
You know what film that kind of reminded me of it was Hancock.
Button? Sorry.
No, Hancock. Because he's got the 2 superpower heroes that can't be with each other because it'll destroy the world. In this case, he can't be with Veronica because she'll get old.
Yeah, they reverse. They go back to their normal life path, I guess.
Yeah,
right.
It was just very hard to follow. It's funny because I recently saw one of Francis Ford Coppola's posts where he's talking about if he's reckless, and a lot of the way he answered the question reminded me of this movie, where it's just like you said it yourself, Bill. He doesn't really finish his thought, and then he starts going into another sentence, and he finally gives you the answer, right? But by then you're just fucking lost.
Man, I mean, no offense, he's Italian. I get it. Like, I get it.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean,
it's for the beauty of the odds.
This is his most. I mean, fuck, not really. Not that we've done them all. Like, this is one of his more art house films.
This is a more art house film.
This is like. This reminded me a lot of like how I didn't like Rumblefish because of that. No offense to the art house people that loved Rumblefish and such.
Yeah. And Coppola, because that's one of his favorite films.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, throw that on his Instagram too.
Yeah,
but fucking, I don't know. I felt like a slight negativity here, but it shows you just like the ego that Coppola has, and I felt like it was on kind of full blast in this film. Does that make sense? Because he's been gone for 10 years. He's like, look at me, I'm going to do this, but I can't.
Yeah.
Make a movie that makes sense,
but it's not earned, right? Like that ego-ness, because all these last films, like, where are you getting this from?
Yeah, it's been a while since you come out with a true banger. So we talked a little bit about the plot, but what about the roles in this? Like Tim Roth, James, did you like Tim Roth in his lead role?
Actually, yeah,
as Dominic?
I mean. He for what he does, I get it. Like, it's such a strange film, but Tim Roth actually does a really good job, in my opinion. I actually really like Tim Roth as an actor. I think he's a little bit underrated. I don't think he's ever had a huge, like, crazy, like role that everyone's been talked about. He's always
he's the Abomination, bro.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
He did it to me for a while too.
He's also in fucking Reservoir Dogs last time I checked, right?
Yeah. And Pulp Fiction.
Fucking die in here. Yeah. I prefer his role in that one, to tell you the truth. But he's good though. He's really good in this role. I think it actually works. It's such a confusing thing. I can only imagine, like, did he understand what the fuck he was doing at the time? And they're like, "This is your scene." He's like, "Fuck, this is crazy," but okay.
Yeah.
But everyone else was kind of just there, you know. I thought the Matt Damon cameo was fucking crazy at first because I was like,
so random.
Is that fucking Matt Damon?
That's what I said too.
But then I was like, well, shit, he wasn't his last film, so like now I get the connection. Like he probably maybe they were close filming something else, and he's like, you want to stop by for a cameo? Like
I need an American for this.
And I need some fucking famous somebody else. You know, it's kind of weird. Tim Roth is the most famous person in this whole fucking movie. That's not even saying much. So.
But I think that was intentional.
You need to have famous people in films for it to work, of course. But
yeah.
Well, I thought he did a pretty good job.
Well, what about you, Nabil? Did you like his role as Dominic, and were there any scenes that stood out to you specifically?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I think it was a good lead. He definitely carried the film through. He was the most interesting part of this movie. I like the duality role he played, where he was, you know, talking to himself. It took me a little bit to realize what was happening. It was like a whole, the Green Goblin thing,
the other or whatever he calls himself.
Yeah. So, like,
I actually think too, Nabil, that was actually one of the better scenes because that was I was able to follow along.
Yeah,
for those,
because it could have easily been a mess, right? Like you could have easily, if it was somebody who really didn't understand that, it could have been like,
if it was shot worse than it was shot, it could have been like, what the fuck's going on? I can see that.
Yeah, but I did enjoy that part of it. He really kind of helped things along. It got there was a little bit of confusion, especially for me at like the end of it, because he kind of becomes old again, and I was just like, so he just destroyed his other side of himself, and now that power is gone. Like he just broke a mirror and let it go. Like I'm not sure exactly how it just went away, but he's Spider-Man.
I have no idea.
He's just, you know, he's
one of the screams out, "Avenge me!" You know, and he throws the fucking thing at the mirror, and you know it destroys his alter ego.
Yeah, it was weird.
Shit, sorry, wrong movie. Sorry,
I was more confused with like the ending of it. Of like,
yeah,
he's not really seeing those people at the cafe. Is that
right?
Just like
he was on his own
metaphor for like last moments of life kind of thing. Like seeing the people that you cared about the most, maybe, and I don't fucking know.
Yeah, that's how I looked at it. He just kind of suddenly aged, and was.
Is it because he came back to his place of origin? That's why, and that's just it triggers something, maybe. Fucking nuts, man. I don't know.
I looked at it as a sense of like he let go of that other person that was kind of guiding him through his life. And that was like that power. Yeah, that was the power that was keeping him young. And I guess with him, the way I understood it, at least, he broke that mirror. He was kind of letting him go. And that's why he's like, save me. And he like let him go. And that was the end of it. Like he didn't have that power anymore. I don't know why.
I like
why.
I like the scenes where he goes away with Veronica, and they're kind of, you know, deducing more of the languages and stuff, because it felt like we were getting a little bit more answers on that. It's like, okay, this is actually kind of giving us something for a while, and crazy shit didn't happen for a while. And then when she starts to kind of like start to age and shit, and there's this scene by where I don't know why, but they're the rocks, and like the ocean is crashing against the rocks, and they're just kind of like sort of like saying that they're gonna, you know, stay with each other and deal with this, you know, figure it out. I kind of like that scene. I don't know. I like the way it was shot. I like the water splashing against the rocks and stuff. And it's kind of, you know, it's literally, you know, between a rock and a hard spot. You know, it's where they're at. Yeah, so I kind of like that, you know.
I was confused, guys. So is Veronica just like? She's like the living embodiment of Laura. Is that it?
According to Wikipedia, sir, yeah, she is supposedly the reincarnation of Laura.
Okay, yeah. But then, so she also de-aged, or was it more like she's like
she was because of that power from who was it? Sumbi or Suki or
Shiva?
I can't remember.
Shiva.
No, not Shiva, but something like that.
He said
that
Shiva in the movie.
Gods. It was one of the gods that she was going to seize during Shiva. But the person that was also within her, it's whatever kind of Buddhist god, was going back in time further and further, and it was taking a lot out of her. And with him being there as well, apparently it's making her older. Yeah. So that's why he's like, I got to leave. She's not going to come up again. The whatever's inside of her or possessing her, and she kind of is able to let that part of whatever
Nabil.
life is gone, and he's able to move forward. And
I obviously
live
should have
normal.
watched this movie with Nabil because, man, I did not catch any of that shit.
I was like really into it. I was very fascinated by the
Dude, I
whole
remember
thing.
they found
It was
a
all-
cave, and I was just like, come on, someone get killed already.
nothing
This
happens,
Exorcist,
right?
where they're going to find a demon in this bitch. I was like,
we
this
found
movie
the
can
cave.
go anywhere at this point. I'm like, oh, never mind. They just found a dude.
It jumps to so many places, right? Like there's just so many. That's what I'm saying. Like I really
It feels like
liked
this could have been a
this film.
miniseries, and they were like, let's stuff it in a 2-hour film.
Right. I agree with that. If it was something that was like a 6-episode miniseries, something like that, like to flesh out a real story and actually see them come to a conclusion, it would have been great. But I liked what he was trying to do.
Probably, I'm assuming, right?
It's almost like a cheapened version of The Fountain, where it's sort of like a reflection of life and everything. Because really, at the beginning, Dominic was saying how he was like 26, he hadn't accomplished anything, and so really, like it's like he gets a second chance to really do something with his life, but at a really high cost. It cost him a lot, and it never really granted him happiness. So it's sort of just kind of like a self-reflection on your life and where you're at, and that's what I got out of it. I don't know. The movie's such a big mess.
I didn't even get that out of that. So
James was like, "Why am I watching this?"
I was like, "Is this like low budget Benjamin Button? What is this, man?"
I know, dude. It was like a mix of a whole bunch of stuff. Including Green
I feel
Goblin.
like we might be the first podcast to ever even talk about this movie, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. Does Nabil, did this feel like a Coppola film to you?
Yeah, it totally felt like a Coppola film to me. I liked the like you said, the cinematography was there, the crazy whatever he was trying to
I guess
statements he was making.
I can't
was in
deny
this
the
film.
cinematography.
Put your shirt back on, Nabil.
And the whole, like we were saying, the whole sheen of the film looking like it was a 60s, 70s film. It made me miss that for some reason when I was watching. It's like, I really like how this looks. I kind of want to see films like this again.
They shot the same exact way. So
are they really? See, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing that again.
Man, Nabil saw that shot where he was upside down. He probably just like,
this is what I've been waiting for.
Fuck. Oh shit. James, what about for you? Did this feel like a Coppola film?
Fuck no, it didn't feel like a Coppola film. What the fuck? Did Nabil watch a different movie from us? This felt like I fucking shot it at Solano Community College in 2007. Fuck. Though I do have to admit, it is shot quite well. I just, plot-wise, for something written by Francis Ford Coppola, it just didn't feel like that to me.
Can Francis Ford Coppola just like be the principal cinematographer and editor of a movie? That's it. Can we just have him do the picture and see it? I'd like to see that.
We got one more film from him, okay?
Maybe.
Just be lucky that's even happening, okay?
If I hadn't seen Rumblefish, then I probably would say it doesn't feel like a Coppola film. It kind of does. It does feel like a Coppola film.
I like Rumblefish,
but a very shitty Coppola film.
I just met like 2 new people on the podcast. Who the fuck are you guys?
No, dude. It's not great. Trust me, it's not great. And just some of the shots that he takes and the way he films it feels like Coppola. Like he's trying, new things or trying to be like very, artsy. Like some of the upside down shots, some of the low angle shots, like all that feels like Coppola. The story, bad shit as it is, because of Rumblefish and the way it was filmed, I'm like, okay, I can kind of see that, but that doesn't make it good. So yeah, it feels like a very shitty.
We give it passes now. We give it passes to Coppola now. Okay,
no, my bad. It's if I hadn't seen those movies, I'd be like, fuck no, dude. This is horror. This doesn't feel like it. It's a very sad Coppola film. Sad in the fact that it's a fall from grace, really. So with that said,
he's been falling from grace for a long time before this film.
It's been happening since Apocalypse Now, technically. But.
Was there anything else that you guys want to mention about this movie before we go into our star rating? Anything else that stood out, James, Nabil?
I will probably never watch this movie again. That's just
I know.
I'm sorry.
I just checked Voodoo, and it's been deleted from the library. So
this one I bought not only on Voodoo, but I also bought a copy on Apple TV, so I bought this movie twice.
Oh my goodness.
Jesus.
I think you're single-handedly funding this film, James.
I have a problem. I mean, all jokes aside, this is like a low point for me with Coppola stuff. So, I mean, I hope to God this is not the one episode he listens to. Just that's all.
Fuck. I'm curious what your questions were now. All right. With that being said, let's rate this film on a star rating 1 to 5, with 5 being incredible and 1 just being complete dog shit. Just knock it out the way. BDJ, what do you rate this movie?
My rating for this film is 1.5 stars.
Okay. Yeah.
He's processing it.
Actually, no.
Is that the lowest grade this guy's ever given a movie? I think it might be.
I think you might have, yeah.
Something doesn't make sense, because you'll see in a minute why. Nabil, what do you rate this movie on a scale of 1 to 5?
I'm on like the opposite end here. I gave this 3.5 stars.
Wow.
I would totally watch this again.
And that's it for me, guys. Good night. I'm stepping out. The rest of the evening Bill broke me. No, hey, that's understandable. You know, it's to each their own. I surprisingly enough gave this movie a 1 star. I rated it even lower than James, even though I felt like a Coppola film. It's just, I would never watch this movie again, and that is a 1 star for me. I just hands down would never watch it again. It even got a star because it's Francis Ford Coppola. If it were anyone else, it probably would get like half star. That being said, I highly doubt any of us would recommend this film, right?
Well, I
would recommend it. Yeah.
If you're a completionist, or if you are, going through the Coppola library, or if you're on this journey with us, then yeah, sure, give it a shot. See if you can find a free version on YouTube.
I feel like this is a movie I would have watched in like film studies too. Truth be told.
I think so. Yeah,
probably.
It's a good cerebral film, I think. There is definitely, it's not a solid, especially the plot, not a solid plot. There's a lot of, they're very interesting points being made, like where he's trying to go. It's just, we just never, come to any real resolution for anything. But I really liked it's got a European, I mean, it's a European film technically. It's got a European feel. I love the look of it. I love the acting. And I think the plot points are interesting.
See,
he just is not successful in some of it.
I'm sorry, Nabil. I don't mean to keep cutting it. It's just you're talking just blasphemous shit. I'm like, who is this guy? I mean, I can do surreal films, right? But it's like I like Terrence Malick films, and those barely have dialogue, So it's like, it's just this one had that plus dialogue and like 7 different plot points going on. And it was like, what the?
I like The Fountain.
It didn't. See, I don't like The Fountain, but it wanted to be like it wants to be like a sci-fi. It wants to be like maybe even like
some spy mystery. I don't know what
mystery. Then it's like a romance on top of that too. It's like, dude, make up your mind, dude. So that's all.
I agree.
So.
Yep. And then Tim Roth goes on to be an Incredible Hulk. Wild.
Yeah, that's all that Marco cares about.
That's all I remember him for.
He's like, he's the Abomination, right? And he was
Emil Blonsky.
He's in She-Hulk too. Just let you know.
Yeah. Comes back.
Came back.
Just saying. That concludes our review of Youth Without Youth.
Thank you, Marco. Let's move on now to our main review of The Flash. Let's stop here for a moment to let you all know about Newsly. Newsly is an all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android. It picks up the most trending articles on the web on topics you choose at any given moment and reads them to you in a natural human voice. For the first time ever, the entire web becomes listenable, all in one place. Browse articles from topics you choose and start playing. You can follow any topic as specific as you like, from sports, tech, business, science, Bitcoin, or heck, even the Kardashians. Newsly will find you the latest articles and read them to you aloud. They even have digital radio. Did we mention they also have podcasts from over 80 countries? Well, they do, and guess what? The Movie Pals podcast is there too. I started using Newsly as my default podcast player, and I can't think of ever going back. Download and use Newsly for free now from www.newsly.me or from the link in our description. And make sure to use our promo code TMPALS, that's TMPALS, to receive a 1-month free premium subscription. Newsly, stop scrolling and start listening.
Bye.
I love you.
Thank you.
Patching you into Mr. Wayne.
No, please don't.
I need you here now, Barry.
So you're saying you could travel back in time?
But Bruce, I can fix things. I could save people. I could save my mom. I could save your parents.
You can also destroy everything.
Love you, Mom.
I love you too.
So how was it this week? How's school?
School was good. Oh,
This is mad trippy.
dude, this is catastrophic.
This is 2023's The Flash. It's currently sitting at a 67% on Rotten Tomatoes. The story goes, Barry Allen uses his super speed to change the past, but his attempt to save his family creates a world without superheroes, forcing him to race for his life in order to save the future. This is directed by Andy Muschietti, who also did Mama in 2013, as well as It, both in 2017 and It Part 2 in 2019. This is written by Christina Hodson, who has also done Bumblebee and Birds of Prey, and Jody Harold, who had done some parts of King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, Army of the Dead, the new Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and more recently released film Transformers Rise of the Beasts. This film was released on June 16th and is currently in theaters. This stars Ezra Miller returning as Barry Allen / The Flash, Sasha Calle as Kara Zor-El or Supergirl, Michael Shannon comes back as General Zod, Ron Livingston is here as Henry Allen, Barry Allen's dad, and Maribel Verdú as Nora Allen, Barry Allen's mother. Kiersey Clemens plays Iris West, and Michael Keaton is in this film as Bruce Wayne / Batman from 1989. So, let's talk about this film, and I'm going to start with the DC mega fan here, Marco. What do you think about this movie?
Well, sir, I didn't watch The Flash. I watched Batman 3. So I thought it was pretty good. You know, I didn't think it was great. I think that it was hyped up a little too much.
It's not the greatest DC film ever made?
No.
Oh, that's what DC
in
said.
my opinion,
That's
no.
what I heard.
No, I think it's one of the better ones. I think that the Rotten Tomatoes score is a little too harsh. This is more like it's a little better than that score.
It might be getting a little review bomb too, from what I've heard.
Yeah. And which we all know why, but we're trying to separate reality with the actual work of art here,
Yeah,
trying to look at it,
we try to do
from
that
that
for everything,
standpoint.
truth be told. So
yeah, so
we reviewed Captain EO for fuck's sake. So
I mean, shit. If you want to know how we feel about shit, and hit us up, personally, we'll let you know. But yeah, it was good, dude. I think it was fun. It was fun. It was entertaining. As a superhero film, man. I really liked a lot of the action set pieces. So I thought it was pretty good. I liked Michael Keaton. Primary reason why I came to see this movie. So yeah, it was good.
Okay. What about you, James? How did you feel about this movie? What were your thoughts here?
What did I think about The Flash? I really liked this movie, actually. I thought it was really good. It's also kind of sad that it's, little, it's good, but it's
Swan song.
a little too late to the party, truth be told here,
Yeah.
So I think this is actually one of the better DCU films. I've not been a fan of a few of them leading up to this one, but I liked it. It worked for me. The pacing's really well done. I think Andy Muschietti takes his horror roots and he does really well with what he did here. And it's, they've just even revealed he's going to be the director of the Batman Brave and the Bold. So I'm actually looking forward to that. I think he handles it really well. It's not perfect though. Marco's right. It's not. There's some things that I question of choices or time constraints or what they had to change from what we saw. And for the most part, it's just one of those things where things are changing in the DC universe, so they're moving in a different direction. So I understand that, but I think Ezra Miller I think he's a great Barry Allen. As much as his or as much as they have a lot of personal problems, it's hard to separate that when watching this film. But it is not. I can't deny that they are super good at this role. Like Zack Snyder was a genius at casting, I think. But on the flip side, it's very sad because I know this is probably the last time we're going to see Ezra Miller as the Flash, most likely.
Yeah.
So,
Most likely.
once again, little,
unfortunately,
yeah, but yeah, we'll talk about characters in a moment. But I liked it a lot. I also got to see it at super advanced screening, like a couple days before you guys, like 5 days before. So I was also in a theater full of like super fans. So if that makes sense. It was a very different experience. When
He was fully nude.
Yeah, no, definitely. Mikey was wearing he was just wearing a Flash tight suit against his body too. I was
It's
like,
a super suit.
I don't know if that
It's a
fits
super
well, bro.
suit. All right. He feels super in it.
Just sweating profusely. And I was like, bro, you can take it off, dude.
Makes
He's
him
like,
fast.
I'm not wearing anything underneath.
There's no chafing for me.
Yeah.
Like, Mikey, I can tell.
Kind of that scene like where you see Barry doing that weird run when he doesn't have his powers. It was just like that the whole time.
In his seat.
Yeah. But I will say this much. I thought it was funny. I thought they did pretty well with everyone. But we'll get into that more. But yeah, I had a great time watching this.
Yeah. I agree with you, James. I think the film was fun. I enjoyed it. I'd say I like this film. This is probably my second favorite of the DCU. So there's not a lot of them. Man of Steel. I still love that film. I'll watch that over and over again.
Solid movie.
Yeah. But yeah, it was funny. Ezra Miller, they're great in this film. I think that they are a good Barry Allen, good Flash, but it is sad that we're definitely not going to see them again. Like, they're just trying to get this movie done, and we're never going to swept under the rug.
Dude, it's fine. We got Blue Beetle, man. What are you talking about?
Just do something new there.
It's okay, man.
Yeah, it's Marco's already working on his cosplay shit.
I got the blue neon lights and everything, dude. I'm ready.
Red this car up.
Shiny.
I mean, that's just a normal thing for him, though. But yeah, it's
That's true. Yeah.
it just happens to be a movie also now.
Yeah, I was like, shit, kind of worked out for him, didn't it?
It's like, fuck, all those times just filming in his backyard just fucking worked out.
Weird.
But yeah, I enjoyed the film. I think the writing was very strong. There was a good plot, and there's definitely, it's not a perfect superhero film for sure, or movie in general, but I liked where it went. I liked how it ended, especially like the third
I bet
act
you
was,
did. Yeah. I said Nabil's gonna lose his fucking shit.
I was like, he's crying. He's fucking crying.
Oh my god! No, but no, it was a really
ripped
enjoyable
open.
film.
He's fucking screaming at the top of his lungs.
My theater went insane like a few times. I'll bring it up in spoilers when they went crazy.
Yeah.
So Marco, let's talk about a little bit about what you felt didn't work, because it doesn't seem like you were as thrilled about the movie, or maybe just not as hyped up as you wanted to be. Where do you think the film was kind of weakest at?
I think James and I are going to agree on this one. I actually tweeted about this when computer graphics from Jurassic Park, a movie from 1993, look better than a movie from 2023. That's a bit of a problem, especially with this movie's been in development for like 5 years. It's supposed to come out in like 2018, right?
I mean, it's been in development 10 years.
Actually, true. Yeah. Actually, yeah, I stand corrected. So, they've had time. We've had movies that have come out for TV streaming, the Zack Snyder's Justice League, which, they've just added CGI effects to release it on for streaming. It's like, dude, that shit looked a little better. So just that, it's just like, come on, guys, polish it up just a little bit more, dude. That was really my main. But
I don't think I sent it to you though. Did you see the interview Andy Machete was talking about why it looks like that for certain scenes?
No, I didn't.
I sent it to Nabil.
Well, send it to me. But that's just it. For the and it's only for the caliber of movie it is. The second thing I didn't really like, we don't really. James Gunn, and this isn't a spoiler. I mean, he's out in interviews saying this. It says this is supposed to kind of let us know where the direction that the DCU is going, or what's coming up next or anything. And you're still kind of left a little puzzled, you're still kind of left after the previous DCU movies.
A lot of questions.
Where, you're just like, wait a minute, So just that, but
I didn't feel, yeah.
That's really, those are really my main complaints. Everything else, like I agree with James. People are complaining about the pacing of this movie. No, I agree with James. The pacing of this fucking movie works, dude. And the tone of this movie works. Some people talk about how the tone of this movie is all over the place. Totally disagree with that. Love the tone of this movie. I think it's got a great balance of levity, of darkness, of seriousness. I think this one just follows that line perfectly. So yeah, those are really my only two major critiques of the movie.
Yeah, so Andy Muschietti came out to talk about the CG, and he's saying that not all of it, obviously, the CG during any time that Barry is in the Speed Force is actually, supposedly, once again, you just got to take his word for it, right? It's done like that on purpose. So
that actually looks good.
These cameos from people, for instance, anytime you saw that, those babies in the beginning, all that shit, that CG is made because time is moving so fast. This is from the perspective of the Flash, supposedly. It looks more cartoonish like, supposedly.
So it's supposed to like warp, basically.
Technically, yeah. That's why things look a little weird. They're not like actual, like, we'll get to it later when we talk about all these fucking cameos. But that's supposedly why. I think that's fucking bullshit. But I mean, whatever. I don't really know if that's true or not. Who knows? Like, if I'm going to take that, yes. But then that doesn't still, like Barry's mask, or anytime Barry's on screen, you can always tell who the fucking fake Barry is. Or there's a scene in the beginning where Batman, like Bruce Wayne, looks fucking terrible in Ben Affleck's character. Not a spoiler, it's in the trailer, but his mask on him, like when he's on his bike, you can definitely tell it's CG, but it looks so fucking bad. So, stuff like that. I was like,
that was a bit of a mess. I do want to say though, I did actually like the two Barry Allens. Like it was a better than I've seen it in some other films.
I didn't think it looked that bad. People are bitching about it.
Bad. Yeah, like yes, you can see it in face thing, but that, especially like the acting between the two of them, it did seem like he was right there next to him. It was or they were right next to each other, so it was very seamless.
They are,
so I did enjoy that.
Two different Barry Allens, and I think it actually, to Ezra Miller's credit, I got to say, like I genuinely believe there was two different types, like one from 2013 and one from present day or whatever, So
yeah, that is very true. That got pulled off pretty well. They did a good job on that.
Yeah, but people are bitching about the pace for real, though. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I thought for a 2.5 hour movie, it actually paces pretty well.
Felt pretty well, yeah.
Like I never was bored.
One of the complaints I heard is that one of the complaints I heard is that it doesn't really let things breathe, and I'm like, I think it does. It slows down at some points enough to let you kind of like, soak in what you just saw, and then like when he's talking to Bruce Wayne Batman, the Michael Keaton version. It slows down there, and they're talking, and there's exposition, and you're able to kind of like sink in what's going on. It has those moments. So
I'll say this much: I mean, I know you call it Batman 3. I kind of disagree with that. I still feel like he actually doesn't have that much screen time. Technically, Batman.
No, that's just my little bash at Ezra Miller.
Like people going there just to see Michael Keaton might be disappointed that he's not in it more, possibly, in my opinion, because I thought he was. For the trailers, it looks like he's going to be in it more, but he's actually only in like the last hour and a half.
Yeah,
by the way.
He's really only in half.
Yeah, so I think the only thing we'll talk about when we get to characters, like some characters that were a bit minor characters didn't really get to breathe as much. That's the only thing, but I didn't have an issue with that. So
yeah, there were some characters that were kind of shoehorned in,
just to have
like they needed to be there, but they just. Maybe because of the runtime of the film, they just couldn't get enough time with them. But you know what? Let's talk about the characters a bit. James, just to go with you first about Ezra Miller and being, likely with the controversy around them that this might be their one and only film to have a solo film as the Flash.
Yeah,
I don't know if to use them or not. Yeah, what did you think about it?
There's so much iterations. This film originally was going to be like a Flash Cyborg team up at one point. I don't know if you remember that. And then they shot, then like Michael Keaton was supposed to be like Batman the whole time. So there was alternate things that were shot too. Even like Henry Cavill supposedly had like things shot for this too and got removed.
We didn't get to see Henry Cavill again.
Yeah. You see his backside when he's taking down a volcano or some bullshit. I think Ezra Miller did great. Like I said, it's sad that like probably this is it because I think they fit the role really well. The character I was talking about was really Iris West. No offense to Iris West, but Kiersey Clemons, she's actually a really good actress. She's in a couple little indie films that I liked a lot, and I think she's kind of shoehorned in. And while she's supposed to be a much more, at least in the Flash comics, she's a much more prominent character. So that's kind of one of the characters I thought, man, they didn't really touch back on that. There's no alternate version of her either in any of the multiverses or whatever the hell it is, you know. But
they make a few references to like Barry's always kind of wondering what's going to happen with her, and she's definitely in the comics. She's had a love interest, so she is much more significant.
She would have been if there was a sequel. Because I even heard they taught stuff even with Ben Affleck that for a potential sequel for this that got cut. Like he supposedly was telling like it connects to like some other fucking movie or something. Like he's like he has to go save him or some shit like that.
That reminds me, we don't even see the scene where Barry is going back in time to go and warn Bruce
and then v Superman.
Yeah,
you were right, yeah, or whatever. You were right. I think that was like an alternate universe. That's why.
Yeah, probably. But you know,
just from the sound of it, but
connect that all.
You would have thought we'd see it at least. That would have been cool, right? But
right.
Yeah, that was like for most part, Ezra Miller and then Iris West. Like their interactions are cool, but it's only like the beginning and end, really.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, she's supposed to be a reporter. Fuck.
A journalist.
Journalist. Sorry. Yeah.
Marco, what about your thoughts on Batman returning in this film? Michael Keaton, the OG. The OG in these films, at least. What were your thoughts on his showing in the film?
I loved every fucking second minute with Michael Keaton in it. That was one of the major things that made me want to watch the movie, really, was that.
Did you like when he put out the tape measure?
Yeah.
I lost my shit when he said that. How much you guys weigh again? I was like, oh my God.
I was like, oh shit. I was like, there you go. I like the whole reconstruction of the Batcave, the mansion, all the little throwbacks they did, all the little details they put into it. You're like, oh shit, it's from that scene. Oh, it's from that scene. You know, it's like, it brought back those feelings. They did a good job with the character too. It felt like a continuation of that character and where he would be, you know, in this time and age.
He's technically not the same Batman, though, right?
Right. He's like he's like a variant of him.
Yeah.
Right. So, yes and no, sort of, but it does explain, you know, a little bit why he's alone in the first two movies and stuff, and I kind of like that. I'm sad that they cut out a scene where he explains, you know, something in the movie about his character and about what he's been, you know, up to the last 30 years, and they sort of had to cut that, which I'm saddened of. But Andy Muschietti said that it's going to be in the deleted scenes for the home release, so I'm excited about that.
I'm gonna buy that on disc.
But yeah, but I loved it, man. Man, I don't know if not really much of a spoiler, but you know, hey, he can turn his head finally, so that's great.
He had different iterations of the suits.
Yes, but then they do make a little like joke about it when
oh yeah,
I was like, damn, only the real ones know what he's referencing. What? He just turned his head.
What about? Or we have a Supergirl in this film instead of Superman, who's prominent in this movie, and I want to say that I really liked Supergirl here. I thought she brought a lot of good, like her scenes were great. The action was there. I love like as an immediate. We didn't get a lot of backstory. I mean, if you know the comics, you know that she was being held, and tested on for like years, decades. But like just like from the get go, when you see her and she's like in action, every scene I really enjoyed seeing her, and I was like, I could see a movie with her.
You don't get enough of her, truth be told. That's one character I thought.
Very true.
How did you feel about her, James? Like just the introduction, how they brought her forward, and then you know where we kind of
Sasha Calle killed it, man. I hope that she is in the talks at least for the new Supergirl role that they're going to be doing. They're doing a movie on that too, right? I think.
Yeah.
Hopefully, man.
They announced like 14 fucking, and I guess she just announced today or over the weekend that she's been talking to Warner Brothers about it. So there's a chance that this is not the last time we see her, because I think she did really well. And her scenes are really good, man. I liked it, but we don't get a lot of it. Like I said, there's a moment where she's talking to Barry about like, why'd you save me, et cetera, and I thought that was very.
Yeah, it was like a very simple. You didn't have to go into too much depth. He was just, he told her that she needed help, and that's all she kind of needed.
I think that's one thing I do want to bring up about Ezra Miller is that I think the scenes where they are. There's a lot of emotion in this film. It's really about him going back to try to save his mom from an unknown assailant that we never get a fucking answer on, by the way. But there's there's scenes with Ezra with playing as Barry with his mom, and like I thought those were super touching, man.
They're very emotional, especially near the end.
Especially the last scene. We'll talk about spoilers, but man, that was like, ooh, man, that's rough.
I really liked who they chose to play his mom. Also, Maribel Verdú. She's from Y Tu Mamá También, which is another one of my favorite movies.
Was there any scene that kind of stood out to you? Something that you wish they kind of set more with, James, or maybe something you wish they kind of cut out?
No, I think this is cut pretty well. There's some scenes during spoilers I can talk about, but I will say this much too. Any of the Zod scenes, like, did Michael Shannon actually show up to film these, or was this just CG?
No, he was there. He was there for 4
showed up? Holy shit.
He did. He didn't like it. He was there for like 3 weeks, but he did what he was supposed to do. Yeah.
Dude, Michael Shannon seems like he begrudgingly does these fucking movies for a paycheck. He's like, fuck.
No, he was upset. He did an interview recently about it, and he said they're just not Zack Snyder, and he was kind of upset about that whole thing, but he's like, I kind of had to do it, and so I was there, but
gotcha.
He preferred if it was with Zack Snyder.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
And he liked the expansion they did with him in Man of Steel, but I'm like, bro, you were the main villain in that movie. That's why. So I mean,
he was kind of like a side person in this one. I would say that those scenes are it's a little strange how they set those scenes up, I'd say, especially at the beginning, and then they kind of go off and do stuff. I'm like, what the hell is Zod doing during this time? He's just killing people, I guess?
Marking them left and right.
Yeah, because then they come back like, oh, we got to go back and now that we got Supergirl and blah, blah. It's like, okay, I guess, but no, I thought all the scenes for the most part worked, Bill. I even liked that beginning sequence when we
the opening sequence was fun. Yeah,
the opening sequence was a lot of fun, actually. I'll say that much, and that really sets the kind of the tone for the film. I thought they did really well with that, to tell you the truth. Yeah. But if anything, I'll talk a little bit about that in spoilers, probably.
Marco, anything that you felt really stuck out for you that you really enjoyed, or? I mean, was there some stuff that you're like, I really wish that we could have just cut this whole part out and made the film a little shorter?
No, I think nothing really overstayed its welcome. There were the opening sequence was good. I wish we could have gone just a little bit more of that, but I understand, for pacing purposes, they had to move on from that. But I agree with James there that whole opening act was really well. It was nice to see Barry work as in a team and kind of see where he's at too at the beginning. He's a still immature, totally different person. So it's kind of good to see where he starts off versus where he ends up at. As far as anything else that really stuck out or that I really enjoyed, that's probably more reserved for spoilers, really.
We don't want to share his secrets with others if you haven't seen the film.
Yeah. I don't want to pull out the tape measure again.
All right. Well, let's jump a little bit into spoilers. Right before we do, let's talk about our star ratings and see what we want to give these films. I'm going to start with you, Marco. What did you give this 1 out of 5?
I give this one 4 stars. Even though it didn't live up to the hype fully, I still think it's a really good DC movie. I think it's one of their best. So,
yep.
And James, what about you?
I also give this one a 4-star out of 5.
Oh my god, is this the first time we're doing a hat trick here, guys? With 4, with all 3 of us giving the same score? Because I also gave it 4 stars. For a DC
film, definitely.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah. I think we all really enjoyed the film. We definitely would recommend it. It was a fun foray for DC, and we just wish they could have made their other films more like this. But like James said, too little, too late. So.
Yeah, unfortunately.
All right, so if you haven't seen the film, we're going to jump into spoilers and talk about all these fun little cameos that came up and just a little bit about the ending and how this film, the direction it's going to go for the rest of the DCEU. So if you haven't yet, again, go ahead and skip forward and we'll tell you how you can reach out to us as well as hear what we're going to be watching next for our next review. Otherwise, stick around. Okay, so there's a bunch of cameos in this film. We're going to jump right into it and start with, which I think they kind of already talk about in the trailer, so it's not really a big spoiler, but we do have Ben Affleck as Batman. We're in his Gotham City. That's part of the opening sequence where he's out fighting somebody else or doing a bigger battle, and he just needs Barry to kind of jump in and help out, as well as Alfred, Jeremy Irons' Alfred, is in here kind of guiding Barry along to kind of ride him through them. Seeing this, did you all miss seeing Ben Affleck as Batman, or you're like, okay, we're good to move on now? What did you think, Marco or James?
Was that his blue? Trying to do his blue suit, by the way.
No, that's what it looked like. Yeah, I like the blue gray.
That was a weird suit. I gotta say that much. That was a weird suit and a weird mask. I didn't like it. I was like,
I don't remember the mask. I don't remember seeing the mask.
It looked weird, man.
Yeah.
I think it's because he's a lot less muscular now than he was before. That's why.
Is that why? God damn it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
He's like, I'm not trying to bulk up anymore, guys. I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I'm a director, damn it.
Because I noticed that too, and I'm like, oh,
this is the most fun he had playing the character. I'm like, damn, he was only screwed for 5 fucking minutes.
So. I know. Like, really?
I was like, yeah.
You do. Because he was just chatting the shit with Gal Gadot. That's why. Just over there hanging out, and that's it.
Maybe.
Oh yeah, I liked it though. I like the blue and gray. The suit, the design was kind of weird, but I like that they went with the blue gray, and I like that they all worked as a team, as the Justice League. Well, most of them, and that's what I wish we could have gotten a little bit more of, is because that was really cool, because it was kind of like we don't know where the fuck's gonna happen, So it was nice seeing them.
I mean, I liked him even as just Bruce Wayne too, when he's telling
he was good as Bruce Wayne.
Barry Allen, hey, don't do that, because the reason why these things have happened is the people we are today, and that's kind of a reoccurring theme throughout the movie too. So I liked it. So.
Yeah. And then we have Gal Gadot, as I kind of mentioned, comes back as Wonder Woman. She comes for a very brief cameo, just to kind of help save the day. Well, mostly save Batman. And then she kind of walks away. There is a little fun banter between them, though, because she does have the last truth. I thought that was pretty funny, just the back and forth with them.
I thought it was funny too, but they did it before in the Joss Whedon Justice League before.
But that wasn't as
yeah.
That wasn't as
also,
fun.
no offense to Gal Gadot again, I just couldn't understand a goddamn word she was saying. So
she is she's Amazonian, so they got a language.
You guys watch yourselves. And then she flew off. I was like, what the fuck did she just say?
I gotta go.
That was good. I'm kidding.
She did good, man.
Yeah, I mean, she's on screen for 30 seconds. She's fine.
Yeah, it was very short.
And from the sound of it, she might be around still. So this might not be the last time Gal Gadot.
She's a good Wonder Woman. I mean, if they can get back to the first film like that, great. If we can erase whatever happened at second film,
let what's her face write another movie, then you're fine.
Yeah, let's get rid of that second film like it never happened. We'll just say it was alternate universe, because that was terrible, and we'll move on from there.
I mean,
just direct it. Don't write it.
Yeah, you need to put your name on the writing credits. Francis Ford Coppola will tell you that too.
Yep.
Just kidding.
There were some very fun versions that they actually showed of older and alternate DC heroes. First of all, a number of different Supermen. We're going to start with one of the most sought after and legendary Supermen that never really made it to screen until now. Our man Nick Cage.
Boom!
My theater went ballistic when they revealed it. It was like an uproar.
Same.
It was crazy, dude. So
it was great. He was fighting the giant spider.
I was like, it's the because that's from the Kevin Smith thing.
Yeah, from the Kevin Smith
Superman Lives or some shit. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Kevin Smith was really happy about that too. He was like, "Oh shit, I can't believe they're referencing my stuff." So
yeah,
pretty cool.
That was fucking awesome. I had no idea that was going to happen. Although I guess apparently Andy Machete had told him to tweet a week prior that he was in the movie. I was like, well, I didn't see
I watched an interview with Nick Cage recently, and it was one of those Ask Me Anything questions, and they asked him, would you ever do a Superman film? And he's like, I would maybe do a film if you guys would be okay if I did maybe a second or two of screen time in the near future. And that's all he says. I was like, that son of a bitch was jumping in.
Oh, damn. He's a spoiler alert motherfucker.
So that was fun to be able to see him on there, and we actually got to sit with it for a little bit. I mean, it was all brief, but I think he had much longer screen time than some of the other quick cameos that showed up.
He actually went in to do his capturing. This mix of
Oh, really?
AI and
I see. I thought it was all CG.
No,
That's cool.
She went into
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
I'm like, dude, who the fuck does Andy Machete know to get out of the pool like this?
DC just trying to get all the things.
Blackmailing people. What do you know?
Like we need to get these.
I mean, think about
it.
it. He got a pretty all-star cast for It Part 2 as well, so it's kind of like
That's true.
People must want to work with this guy.
They might like him, yeah.
So that's all. Just thinking.
We also had Christopher Reeves come back. Christopher Reeves, sorry, come back as a Superman, which is cool. As well as Helen Slater as Supergirl for the first time.
Couldn't believe it, man.
Yeah, first time they both were next to each other in the same film.
I had the Christopher Reeve thing. I had the Christopher Reeve thing ruined for me already because some people are assholes. But I did not know Helen Slater was coming back as Supergirl, and I've been watching all these goddamn Superman movie before these.
Did you watch Supergirl?
It's on my list. I'm going to be doing it after 3. But I watched 1 and 2 in the Donner cut. So I didn't want to tell you guys, but I was dropping subtle hints that I was like, maybe you guys should check this out. But whatever. I didn't know what in context it was going to be. I didn't know if he was going to actually show up and do some shit, or this just really came down to him staring off in the distance. But it's cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check out the Supergirl movie because I fucking screamed when Helen Slater was on there. I couldn't believe it.
It's a bad film. Like
that's a childhood crush of mine for like the longest fucking time. Love her and everything she does. So I'm like
crazy though. I was like, holy shit.
It was cool to see them both together like that, though. Just to have them there, yeah.
Because he was supposed to be in the Supergirl movie, and then he dropped out of it.
Because it was so bad. And then we had George Reeves come back, one of the OG Superman.
That one was a little weird for me.
Yeah, it was. They kept it. It was a black and white world. He was there in black and white, and just kind of.
That.
It's a great thing to see that, but I think that's the one. That's the one I would have had the most issues with if I was somebody. People were bitching about the Christopher Reeve thing, but the Reeves family signed off on that, by the way. So,
yeah.
But George Reeves, on the other hand, I guess has no, because I don't know if you guys are aware. Yeah. George Reeves killed himself, so he has no heirs to anything. So I don't know.
Coincidentally, Ben Affleck played him in the film.
Yeah, which is, but once again, they're going to show that. That's going to be a little weird. Hollywood land, right?
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I know all that shit, by the way, because of that movie with Adrian Brody. By the way,
Adrian Brody.
So
Simo S.I.
I didn't think it was going to happen. And I heard they had shot some other things that just were cut eventually. So I don't know if this is.
I hope they'll show some of that in the deleted scenes. Or
I hope so. But for instance, I don't know if we'll ever see the Henry Cavill stuff because technically, if he's in the deleted stuff, they still have to pay him for that, right?
Do they?
I think so.
Oh, DC trying to cut. Warner Brothers trying to cut money too.
We don't know we don't know if he was supposed to be at the beginning in that battle or if he was supposed to be in this cameo.
Was he supposed to be there instead of Wonder Woman? But then I remember Wonder Woman was always going to be in it. But she might have had more scenes too. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
I know in that scene too, they show a lot of archival footage too of you just can't see it like in those little reels that are going around. There's like other Batman shit too, but
they even show an alternate Flash, like the earlier Flash, which I don't remember his name, but
Jay Garrick.
Yeah.
But it's nobody. It's not based on anyone though. It's just
it's the guy who plays him in the CW show.
He plays Reverse Flash or something like that. He plays a bad version of Flash. In the
he plays Zoom.
Is that him?
In it, yeah,
Zoom. Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah.
Is that confirmed? That's him. I thought it was nobody.
Yeah. No, that's him.
No. It's the guy from the CW show that plays Jay Garrick. Yeah, which sucks that they didn't get Grant Gustin as an alternate Flash, but that's
supposedly fine. He was in it too, and scenes were shot, but it just never happened.
Really? Okay. So I feel like we're gonna be having a lot of these fucking. They were supposed to supposedly. I'm like,
he just cut it for time. He's like, no.
Oh. Yeah, God there was forbid. A lot of stuff he was told to cut because of time constraints.
Maybe
it is a long film,
long movie, and they're trying to fit some stuff into the gun shit now, I guess.
Yeah. And then we have the best cameo ever in the history of cameos.
Oh, I knew it, dude.
We have Batman and Robin.
Fucking wild when this happened.
Batman, George Clooney, and he has Barry Allen's this Flash's Batman. He took over for Ben Affleck because he changed something. He saved his dad. So apparently,
Nabil's favorite Batman.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely my favorite Bruce Wayne.
So this was supposed to be originally Michael Keaton, though, right?
Yeah.
Was it?
We have
Is that
behind
what
the
it
scenes
was?
footage
Oh, okay.
of screens of him coming out of the car, and it's Michael Keaton. We're in the same exact suit too, by the way. So,
But
I did not know that.
Instead, they trapped
Keaton-
this Flash in the Schumacher verse.
no, because Keaton was supposed to be like the Batman going forward if they were going to continue all these, right? From what I remember.
Oh, I
So
see.
Keaton
Okay.
would have been like the Batman. That's truthfully that would have been the way to get rid of Ben Affleck. So like, hey, we don't need Ben Affleck anymore. We're gonna do it
Because we have
Batman.
Keaton.
Yeah, we're gonna have Michael Keaton and like
Yeah,
he
like a
filmed
Batman
stuff
Beyond and
for
stuff,
it.
yeah.
And then because that's why he was also supposed to be in the Batgirl movie, which was going to take place after this, man. But then that got canned.
I see. So now it's a throwaway. They're just having George Clooney in for fun.
Yeah, I don't think
this
it's
was.
I don't think it's a permanent thing. I think this
No,
is.
I
it.
would think
Like,
not.
This is
Yeah.
done.
This was actually different than the pre-screening.
They
endings.
cut away from it, I think, right?
Yeah, he just takes it. You just see him step out, and then it cuts to the Flash saying, "Who the fuck are you?"
And it just ends, right?
Yep. Because they didn't want those people to spoil it at all.
So, how do we feel about how this film actually ended with the? So essentially, what happens? We are in spoilers, of course.
Yeah.
So what happens is after Barry, 18-year-old Barry, is trying to stop 18-year-old Barry's world from being destroyed by Zod, but they fail over and over again. Everybody dies. Well, Batman and
No
Supergirl.
matter what, cannot be saved.
Right. And so it turns out that Barry, the 18-year-old Barry, does an infinite amount of loops to try to do it, and then eventually turns himself to Reverse Flash, which is the catalyst sword that was because of the original Barry Allen, original Flash, starting this whole thing to try to save his mom from dying. Which, like to James's point, we never actually find out how she dies.
About that.
It's just,
I was like, who the fuck did it then?
Probably Reverse Flash.
I feel like they would have explained that more and eventually, but for this, it's like it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
who actually did it.
It's because they wanted Barry and Dark Flash to be the villains.
What if the real thing was like it was the dead actually?
Damn,
it was him.
She did do it. He comes with the twist. He's like, I had the knife.
He turns around, looks at the camera, and smiles.
I would have been like, "Mom, who stabbed you? Do that first."
Yeah, I don't know how he's really reprieved because she just gets stabbed and they're showing the video like, oh no, he was at the grocery store at the exact same time. It's like, no, it just happened and he just showed up at the house. So I don't really know.
Shut up.
But whatever, continuity. But that's what he does. So basically, he stops his ultra self or whatever. He sacrifices himself. Blah blah blah. They move on, and he's trying to reset the timeline, but decides, you know what? I'm going to put the can of tomatoes up so my dad can be seen on camera and prove that he was not the murderer because he was at the grocery store. Do you think that actually is a solid ending to how everything goes? Do you feel like, nah, that was too easy of a cleanup of like tidying everything up over there? Go to you, Marco, a bit. Like, do you feel that we should have left something more for a sequel, or do you think that this was really nice wrap up of everything?
It would have been nice for us to kind of at least know it's a clean slate and we're going to go a different direction from here, because if this movie was supposed to be like, all right, this is it resets the universe, the DCU, and we're going to, from this point going forward, this is where we're going to go. And strangely enough, as much as I did like the George Clooney cameo, I thought that it was funny, and I thought it's hilarious that this fool's trapped in the Schumacherverse. I thought it was a fitting punishment. But it would have been nice if we got the original ending or not the original ending, but the ending that the pre-screeners saw, that, where we just see a foot come out and we don't know who it is. Cause then it kind of leaves us to, okay, they have a clean slate. They're going to go wherever, instead of leaving it as a gag and saying like, oh, gotcha, now you don't know what we're doing. And it's like, bro, we didn't know what the fuck you were doing to begin with. So,
I mean, I think they do that though, just to be like, this is, Barry exists in this universe with this Batman going forward, but we're just never going to go back here.
True. Yeah.
That's all it is.
It'll,
like, don't worry about it. This is universe where George Clooney's the Batman and Barry's on adventures, but we're not going to focus on that universe anymore. We have a new universe we're going to talk about.
I kind of like all that though, because this kind of helps to introduce the idea of like there could be multiple Flash, there could be multiple Batman, there could be multiple Superman, and they're not the same people. So like in this case now, Barry's Batman is just George Clooney one, and then the other one is Michael Keaton before it was like Ben Affleck. So like if they move on
somewhere,
it does.
It's just going to be. It could be somebody else. Yeah.
I do agree there, Nabil. It does canonize all the DC properties, and it's like they can continue any universe they want, and it's like they could either die at the last movie or continue it on from on. Just kind of sad that this version of Michael Keaton's Batman, will always lose at the fate of Zod. It's like, goddamn.
Well, they were kind of saying like this universe is not supposed to exist. That's why, and that's kind of like the whole point. Like, okay,
because he triggers the fact that his Barry becomes a Flash, the 18-year-old, which he wasn't really supposed to be there because he's going on a date with Iris, right? So he wasn't actually supposed to be the Flash. He forced that.
True. But I mean, once again, we don't know. Aquaman 2 filmed things with both Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton, so I have
Michael Keaton's in that film?
Yes.
I didn't even know that.
So I have no fucking clue who's going to be in that film. I guess we'll find out in, what is it coming out, December, or do they push that one to March next year? I don't even remember anymore.
I don't even know.
I feel like
and now
a trailer right now.
Too. Just kidding.
But I'm going back to the ending though. I think it's not just that, Nabil. It's very emotional, that scene, getting the can back from his mom and then saying his final goodbye to his mom, and he's crying. And
that
stuff.
is true.
She's so nice to him. That's a very emotionally jarring scene. I think that's really well done. So, he moves the cans, and that's kind of the way to get around it. But the fact that he knows that his mom has to die is very. I think there's a lot of weight with that. So I think it works well.
It's a lot different than what some movies with a similar concept are doing, where the hero can't accept, the end result of what's supposed to happen. Like, they're supposed to lose this loved one, right? It makes them who they are. We have in other movies where they're just trying to prevent that. But in this one, it's more like like James said, he's accepting it, and he's like, there's nothing I can do to stop it, and I just have to live with it.
I agree with that. I think that, and you're right, James, I kind of glossed over that, and it actually is a big scene because he's finding closure with what needs to be done, and that he can't fix everything. And I think that's like a recurring theme in the film, is like, we're not necessarily meant to fix everything. Like, it's some things are just what it is. And so he's accepting that and moving on, whereas a lot of other films, there is such a very nicely tied bow on everything comes out perfectly, there's no consequence. And in this film, everything is a consequence. Even like we just talked about the cameo with George Clooney, he changed his Batman. That wasn't supposed to happen, right? So there's always a consequence of something, and he's kind of had to learn to accept that and know that he's not going to be perfect in every instant. There is also one last thing we haven't really touched on, which is the post-credit scene where it's Aquaman and the Flash. They're bonding over some drinks, and I let me ask you, James, is this the same Aquaman? Because it seemed, I don't know if it's like a different version of him.
Scene, I think I was talking to Mikey. This is literally just to set up for everybody. Like, don't worry, the sequel's fine. He can exist in all these things. It doesn't matter where the fuck that Aquaman's in. Like, don't worry about it. Supposedly, everything going forward is in the Gunverse, right? Or is that what we're calling it? Gunverse?
Yep.
Sure.
Gunverse.
So Aquaman 2 is technically set there. So is that why we're going to have maybe a Michael Keaton Batman or a different Batman or George Clooney Batman? Who fucking knows at this point? I don't know.
Maybe.
Once again, we'll all find out together because I have no idea.
But to piggyback on what James said, that's why he says, like, you're the only one that's the same in every universe.
Yeah, that's why
which means he can exist in the previous universe, and it's to explain that shit away, dude. Basically,
and James 1 already said that he had to. His hardest thing about filming Aquaman 2 was making some edits to make it fit into the Gun universe, apparently. So, but from the sound of it, I think that might be the last fucking Aquaman movie too. So I don't really know what the fuck they're doing.
Right, because there's rumors that he might be playing Lobo or some other character, and
he said he's going to play two characters at the same time. So I'm like,
right.
Once again, I would not. That's so fucking. I think that's dumb as fuck to do that. Just so you know,
they're not going to reveal all their cards either, because again, this movie was supposed to be, telling us exactly where they're going, and it really doesn't. So.
They want to get all these other films done with, and then they'll just show it off with the new Superman film.
Sure. Yeah.
Superman Legacy.
Yeah, Superman Legacy
I'm looking forward to it. I love to see
one.
it.
Yeah, I am too. Like, fucking, if they're going to put it back, I'm all for, like, hey, and getting things back to on the same page as everyone. And I think James Gunn is, he's proven multiple times that he knows how to tell stories correctly, and he knows how to handle ensemble. So, like, hey, you know what? This probably needed it. As much as I enjoyed The Flash, I understand that leading up to this is kind of a fucking train wreck, right? So,
yep,
I get it. Like, fucking get it done. So,
yeah, move forward and get it over with.
Like, as much as I would have loved to see Ezra Miller again, and I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in the next two films before Superman comes out in 2025 or some bullshit. So we're going to have a bit of a gap between it all, and it's going to just, hopefully everything by then we'll have more answers. But like Marco said, they're not going to reveal all their cards yet. So
that's mainly more on his end that he's not returning though than really the reset of the universe.
Yeah, I'm just saying I wouldn't have mind seeing him come back for things, truth be told, because I actually think I think they do a really good job. But once again, that's your personal life. It has things to do nowadays. Yeah. There's consequences to every action. There might even be a new fuck. At this point, I'm not saying Marvel's perfect, but they got some issues going on right now.
Yep.
So,
Every
time Marco has said he likes an actor, they turn out they're scumbags. So I mean, I don't know.
That's why I'm not saying shit. I'm just saying it's good performance. They did great. It's awesome. But yeah, in this case, yeah, they already, like James said, they made their bed, so they got to live the consequences.
Yeah, but I am, like I said though, I am looking forward to Andy Muschietti's future with the DC. Seems like he's got a touch for it, so I think he would do really well with the new Batman film.
I agree, and I think that's enough said about The Flash.
Thank you so much for that, Nabil. And that is the end of the podcast. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Marco, tell them how they can reach us.
Listen and follow us on your favorite podcast service. Trust us, we're on all of them. For a quick link to all our socials, visit linktree/moviepalspod. Thank you. Make sure to smash that subscribe button so you never miss an episode.
That's right. And don't you forget to make sure to also stay tuned for our next episode number 153, where we will be reviewing Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Thank you, Nabil. Thank you, Marco. Until next time, this is James.
And Marco.
And Nabil.
Have a great one.